So following on from the previous video, I went in and finished all the scene testing for level 1, the one with the fruit, which I spent like the transition between the scene and the load scene working, adding in the fish NPC and giving that a script which handled its idles. So at the start of when the game starts and the camera pans towards it, it shows that the fish has like a sort of a hungry animation where it sort of rubs his tummy, which shows, and then later on we'll be adding in a sprite of an orange, like a thought bubble above his head, to show that the player needs to get the fruit in order to progress, which is the idea of showing it. And then having a wave idol as well, which is like another sort of playful, like just Easter egg kind of, having that in it. And once I've done for the scripting, I just finished around with the scene of the camera follow for the fruit, changing the gravity scales of the fruit and the way it moved down the scene, because I was still, after asking a few people to play it on the Wednesday, there was still some people, there was the main regard was of them feeling a bit too slow and not much like a Rugoba machine as it could be, or seeing like the satisfaction it wasn't quite as much as they hoped. So I've just worked on that a bit more on the Thursday and got it as best as I could. It's much quicker now, but I think in the time scale we have left now would be too much, and I shouldn't be concentrating too much on just the first one, and test more the levels coming up that still need to be built or still need the artwork for, so we can ensure that those ones have a much better like Rube Goldberg like feel to them, and they're more fun to play. They're quicker to move through rather than just keep on the first one. So once I'd finished those, I then went into sorting more of that out. Yep. Once I'd sorted out the first level, the NPC, and the testing for that, the rest of my Friday spent with working with Sil on the bird and the NPCs, which she had finished all the animations for them. So the tutorial load scene and pre-scene have already been set up. Perfectly fine, the transition between the scenes. So it goes to this case of adding in a gatekeeper sign we added to the house, just to give the players a better idea of like a sort of a funnier and just easier way to say this is what you need to do and this is who he is. Obviously you need to get through the gate, so that's just a way of showing it, and that hopefully that will like stick with the player as they play through the game. So the first video shows just creating a bird idle and then flying and moving it around. So using a vector-free move towards, but I wanted to, so I started to test the rotating the bird and moving it, rather than it being quite static. If it just moved from the start marker to the end marker in one linear fashion without it sort of rotating a bit, it will just look a bit flat. I think it gets the parallax background, so I went into some testing of just rotating that as it was flying, and then when it reached the end marker, it would then stick to a certain point, rather than changing around. So doing that. So I got that done today, so it looked a lot better when playing it and testing it through. And then next was adding the NPC, which is the crocodile person who's that, if that is the gatekeeper. So I just created him with an animator, and I flipped the sprite in the scene as it was done the other way, but because he walked out to the right hand side, and he just comes out, pulls the lever, which is all done through timing in the activating gate scene. So it's all in real time, that when he pulls the lever, that's when the gate starts moving upwards in the scene. And but all we need to do now is added a sprite for the lever box, as it just sort of randomly appears when he during the animation. So that will be something to work on later on. And just as a little Easter egg, I want to show you a funny small video for when we were testing the bird rotating, and it just spun around like a little crazy animal, which I think was quite funny.